Welcome everyone. My name is Jeff. I'm joined here with Tim, Jenny, Brian, and Kevin, and we are Team Java Cups. Well, let's get started with the demo of the Hangman app by Team Java Cups with an intro from Tim.
Hello, my name is Timothy Mileski. My contribution to the code for the Hangman program is once we determined that we're going to have three different genres of quotes, I went and gathered all the quotes together and put them into their three distinct text files. I also contributed and worked on the section of the code that had dealt with the user input, whether it was a letter or not. If it was not a letter, to re-input. If it was a good letter, and then that information was sent off to different parts of the code, and then the return back was whether or not it was a good guess or a bad guess. The next part of the code was updating the hangman, the gallows, and then also to display whether or not the letter was part of the actual quote and to update the quote.
Thank you, Tim. And now on to Brian, who will be starting the demo.
So as you can tell, the main interface shows up here in the straight middle, telling you how to start the game. Now when you hit the button rules, of course, you get a demonstration of all the rules, and it also says click on the start to begin the game.
And now Jenny will talk about the menu options and the roles button, which she contributed to, followed by Brian, who will demo a few games.
When we click roles, here's where it runs. It explains about the rule of the game. When we click start after.
Once you click on the start, you can see the genres. You can pick between three categories. That being alphabet quotes, Confucius quotes, and movie quote. Our first example, we'll choose category 1. You can now see that your phrase is showing up, and then when you click on a letter, it'll begin unmasking it, and you can start seeing what type of phrase you're guessing. Of course, when you do make a mistake, you'll see the hangman at the top, slowly but surely complete itself. You get 5 chances, a maximum of 5 mistakes. You can also tell that once you're on your 4th mistake, you can't use the hint button, as it'll take you to the 5th and you'll end up losing the game. Now for this first phrase, as you can tell, we're at 4 mistakes right now. 1 more mistake will lose us a game, and then you can see that the PNG on the top says game over after the 5th mistake. Now as you can tell, also the current score drops down by 1, and when you start all over, you keep your current score. So it's a nice feature we added to make sure it retains the score for the user. Now for the next phrase, we can start by guessing it again. And you can see that our hint button will actually give off a letter. So when you hit that hint button, it picks a random letter, and that random letter is chosen, and all of the types, such as the letter T's in the phrase, show up. And then we can surely start guessing and seeing that the phrase is, there is a method in my madness. So we'll guess it correctly, and then we can see that on the top PNG. Once we guess it, you'll see that you actually won the game. And it's pretty neat the way you can see you win and you lose. Compared to what we were originally going to have, I think the PNGs were much better for the user to see. Now moving on to the third phrase here. As you can tell, that also a neat feature we added is once you do click on a letter, you can't click it on again. A letter has been used incorrectly, you also can't click it, or if it's been guessed correctly, you can't toggle it anymore.
There's only 1 letter left, and we're going to use the hint button here in a demonstration of the hint solving the puzzle. This part of the code was especially tricky, and it's something that I had to work on to get going. Basically, we had to make sure that the hint button still triggered a miscount, but also a correct guess, and make sure that the correct guess still increased so that the game would actually know that the puzzle was solved. So now Jenny will demonstrate the exit button and how it works, and then Brian will take us through another demo.
If user wants to quit the game, then they can simply click exit button, and it's going to end the process.
The neat feature is that your current score is retained, so as long as you keep winning, you can keep increasing your score, and your high score will also go up. We're guessing another phrase, and as you can tell, the buttons in category 1, 2, 3, and rules are not toggleable anymore, so it lets you play the game and guess a phrase. One thing that I really liked about the display is the fact that you can see your phrase, and every time you click a letter, it actually displays a letter onto the line. It was a neat masking feature that we did add.
And that definitely was brilliant on your part, Brian. So now I want to draw your attention to the high score and current score. At the end of every game, the current score checks and compares to the high score. If the current score is higher, it becomes the high score. Kevin was the one who came up with this code, so I'll just go ahead and let him explain more.
So on our Team Java Cup Hangman app, we're going to see how the high score goes to 2, and then it keeps our current score at 2. So when you exit out of the app, and then we refresh it, it'll still keep that high score in there at 2. And then also the current score has been reset to 0. We had come together as a team and I helped develop some of the code that would go into that high score. So that way it could be as like a top score. That way every time you exit and come back to the game, it saves your score. And then of course you lose, it does go -1, so it takes away from that score.
So now Brian is going to walk us through a loss in the game, demonstrating some of the features we put into that. So go ahead and take it away, Brian.
We start the game. We choose category 2. We start guessing Z, V, we got W. U showed up. Y didn't show up. R definitely didn't show up, and you can tell that hint is no longer usable, so you don't lose a game. And we guess Q and we lose. You can tell that the game is over, and then you can exit.
A really cool idea that I came up with really late in the game was the idea of custom categories. I wanted a way that the users could have their own experience with this game, not just using the pre-made quotes that we put into the game. Really late, like last minute, I came up with this idea and developed the code. So Brian's going to walk us through some of the features and then we're going to demo it.
Another neat feature is that you could definitely add your own category of text. If you go into Java Cup's games file and create a category 1.text, the first thing you write down, of course, would be the title. Now the second and third and fourth thing you type in, of course, is actually the word you would be guessing in the game. So this is a test, would be a guessable phrase. Here is another phrase, and this is easy, are all phrases the user can guess, and the program would choose one of them randomly, and we'll test it out. Right now we're in the game. We click start, and then you can see now that 1 shows custom category test, and when you click category 1, we get the phrase, this is easy.
And I'll go ahead and walk everyone through a couple of rounds with the custom category. This was easy, was already selected, and we'll go in and you'll see this is a test. And then we'll go one more round to show the last phrase in the file, which is, here is another phrase. And as you can see here, the current score exceeded the high score and became the high score. That concludes the demo of the Hangman app for CSCI325 by Team Java Cups. We came a long way from the command line interface all the way to an actual GUI. We hope everyone enjoyed this demo and our app, and let us know if you have any questions or comments. Thank you and enjoy.